Flash called it. It was more of like there was different markets. There was an age group. There were the haves and have-nots. There were the disco people, and then you had the underground, the young kids coming up who wanted to party. They couldn't get into the club. They didn't have the money to pay to get in. So we partied uptown in the gyms, in the parks. That's when block parties started because the kids couldn't get in. So we still wanted to. So this was our way of, getting a part, being a part of that disco. But at the same time, the music was so very, very important because we didn't play the same kind of music in the disco and the music that you heard on the radio. So you had these two different markets. Grandmaster Flash calls them the shoe people and then the sneaker people. So the shoe people being the adults who had the money to get in, and then the sneaker people being the young kids just trying to fit in and trying to do the same thing. So that's where you have it. Then you have these two factions. They had their own DJs. You had street DJs who would only play in the parks. You had street DJs who would only play in block parties and the gyms and the community centers and the house parties and stuff like that. But then you had the DJs who really were rocking New York. Well, this week we're going down to Club Nell Gwynn's to see New York's #1 DJ, Pete DJ Jones. That was on the radio. You heard what Pete was. He was a hot DJ, But then you had other DJs who weren't like that hot, and they played different kind of music, b-boy music, that James Brown music. So it was different crowds, a different crowd. I say the disco rappers and the disco DJs, and then you had what is known as the b-boys, or real hardcore underground hip-hop. So you have two factions coming out, and these two factions were competitive. I call them the haves and have-nots. They were really competitive. They didn't like each other. They competed, and their markets were different. Their crowds didn't like each other. I'm a b-boy wearing my hat backwards, going up to a Cool Herc party, b-boying, but I couldn't do that at a club downtown. If I'm b-boying in the club, they're looking at me. I got, where's your suit? You can't go down on the floor with your suit on. So they look at you crazy if you really tried to break dance and stuff at the club. So that was more like, so the markets were different, and it was really, really strange. Okay, so that's basically it. Those different themes throughout the movie, you'll see that repeated, but it's very, very important that you know that up front. And the other thing, like I was saying, the DJ was the boss in the beginning. The DJ was the focal point of the party. He controlled the music. He controlled the lights in the club. He controlled the ambiance, the tempo of the music. He played fast jams, and then he'd break it down and throw on love jams, and then we dance slow, the L jams and all that, right? He controlled all of that. He hired and fired the MCs. The MCs were a dime a dozen in the beginning. All the MCs did was, we used to carry the equipment for the DJ and set it up in the club. And at the end of the night, we'd break it down and take it back to the house. And the DJ was nice enough, he'd let us make announcements. And we'd get into the party for free and talk to the girls. So that was our thing. But we were making announcements. Yo, Joey, your mom's outside. It's 10 o'clock. You got to go home. Yo, Sam, your car's getting towed. That's the original MC. That's all we did. But then came the changing of the guard. When that record, first rap records, the MC got the opportunity to stand out front and do more than tell jokes. We started rapping and entertaining the crowd, and using crowd response was a big, big, big thing back then. Like, you're in New York's #1 club, Nell Gwynn's, listening to the sounds of Pete DJ Jones, and if you feel good, if you really feel good, throw your hands in the air and say, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. If you really feel good, everybody scream. That's where it came from. The MC exciting the crowd, orientating the crowd on where they were, and just, motivating them to have a good time. That's how it first started out. So this whole thing with the changing of the guard, we got the opportunity to hire and fire the DJs. That's why the first DJs, when they started, you had people like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 MCs. You had Eric B. and Rakim. The DJ was first. He was the boss. But then the changing of the guard happened. Then you had people like, Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. You see what I'm saying? We started paying the DJ. The DJ wasn't paying us because we got the record deals. We were doing the vocals. So we got the record deals. Sometimes the DJ got to be a part of that contract. Sometimes not. Sometimes, and now, guys, 30, 40 years later are fighting about this. Like Houdini, for instance. They're fighting over the name Houdini. The DJ, Grandmaster D, stole the name. And he took the name and put a patent on the name. And said, Houdini can't use Houdini because I never got my royalties. So now he took the name. Sugar Hill Gang's fighting. Same way. Same way. There's another group. UTFO. Kango and Doc Ice. One of the members stole the name, and they can't use it unless they come to him. And so it's crazy. It's now really, really starting to be a problem with this. But that whole thing, the changing of the guard, started way back when the first records came out. Last thing, hip-hop almost was destroyed, and you'll see this in the film. It was almost destroyed by gang violence. And in the 70s, I know you saw have you ever seen the movie Warriors? Remember that? Warriors come out and play, right? That thing was just like the Bronx in the mid-70s. I remember running home from school every day. The Black Spades are coming, and it was really, really a tough time for you to be a young kid going to school, teenager, and living in a gang environment. But what saved us was hip-hop, and Africa Bambaataa tells a story of how he was a gang member, and he got together with all the gangs and said, let's stop killing each other, let's stop the violence, let's go and just start doing this new thing called hip-hop, and forget about all this crazy mess, and let's just have some love, peace, unity, and a good old time, without hip-hop. And so, that's really what saved hip-hop. Other than that, it was the rap record. Because even though a lot of those hip-hop parties, the security at the parties, they would rob you. I'm going out, to a club, to a hip-hop party, and I get my brand new coat taken, so I got to go back home, and my mom beats me twice. Once for coming home so late, and twice for wearing your coat. So it was rough. We stopped going out because the gangs would rob you at the parties. In the middle of the party, they start shooting and everybody's running, but while you're running in all the chaos, they're snatching chains, they're beating you up, taking your coat, taking your brand new shoes and all of that. So it was really a problem. And so people stopped going out to hip-hop parties like in 1978. We tell a story. And so Bambaataa was a big part of that and smoothing that over. And the rap record, really, when that came out, that's when it exploded because it was really dead right before the rap record came out. So that's the story. And I'll wait for your questions after. Let's take a look at the film, The History of Rap. Thank you.
Very quickly, before we get started, there's one last thing I want to say.